Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. Got a cool episode for you today, talking about some topics that every trader will go through at some point in their journey. We're talking fear, greed, panic, stress, addiction. We're talking about mindset going into trading and how things that are scary may actually be opportunity, and it's how it's our choice on how we view them and how we use that power. We're also going to talk about kind of getting a positive push or punch in the face, as I referenced in the podcast, that will keep you along the straight and narrow when you're going through some of these obstacles. So let's hop in and enjoy it. But before we do me a favor, rate and review this podcast if you haven't done so already. I know a lot of you guys view 3 times a week or listen 3 times a week, which I love. You leave comments, which I love. But what I would love even more is if you left me a rating or a review, shared your thoughts about the show, and that way it boosts us up in the rankings and we can ultimately become the #1 trading podcast out there. So do that and enjoy today's episode. Again, the unfortunate truth is that there's no teacher like experience. There is no teacher like experience, right? This is why Jason and myself always say, like, trading courses don't work. ... on their own. Because you cannot take a trading course and become a great trader, right? Unless that trading course is teaching you like a fully automated system that's black or white, and then still you need experience trading psychology not to mess it up. But you have to gain experience in the market. Now, trading courses are helpful if you have a good mentor, if you have a good coach, because they help push you through that journey quicker. So instead of having a wacky roadmap and being like, hey, David, here's your map. You're starting at the bottom of that map. You need to get to the top. Good luck. And David's like, you got to go through the maze like 18 different times and go all the way back to, one of those type deals, versus me telling you like, okay, well, here's the common route that you should take. Here's what you're going to encounter during that route. There's going to be a minotaur halfway through, okay? Just, you got to fight it, but be aware of it. There's going to be a dragon, a griffin that comes down probably around 3/4. So like, make sure you cover yourself up when you get to that point, right? We'll give you kind of like little warnings and the right route. Like, hey, you're going to want to make a right at that tunnel. Don't go left. Right? I know there's going to be arrows that say look left, but there was a silverback gorilla that put that up, and he's just trying to trick you. By the way, I saw a scary gorilla video the other day. I guess a zookeeper got caught in a cage with a gorilla. Oh, man, I don't know if you guys saw that. Man, ooh. Yeah. Oh, dear. Yeah, I think she got out. I think she hid behind a tree, stayed calm, which is ever in a crisis, always stay calm. It's the best skill you can have. Same thing with trading, right? Don't take a time of stress versus de-stress, right? Same thing we talk about in trading. Difference between stress and distress. Stress is a natural state. Distress is a panic. I think she ended up leaving like I think she was feeding it, I guess, maybe, I don't know. I think she left like she ran a couple times to avoid it. I don't know if it's real. The internet is weird. Like, half the stuff is fake on the internet, and I don't know what's fake or not fake anymore with AI. But I think she left like the food somewhere and then ran behind a tree. And then the gorilla went to the food, and I think she was able to get out of the door or something like that. But again, I don't know if the internet stuff is getting so crazy these days. I don't know what's real and not real. Who knows? Then it becomes a disorder. Yeah. Distress is contagious. Yeah. It becomes no different than like anxiety, where you psych yourself out before it even happens. Now that is it's an underrated thing that we don't really talk about a lot, but yeah, it is like it is, you put yourself in a situation enough, and you put yourself in a situation of distress enough, it sticks with you, and then all of a sudden your body is triggered to be in that distress state before that distress state even occurs. We're just even anticipating distress. Like, so it's like no different than an anxiety attack. Like for me, like I'm not good with hospitals at all. Like, hospitals give me panic attacks. So the slightest thought of anything that would send me to a hospital, I'm having a panic attack, just because I'm thinking, and I have an issue with not being present and thinking to the future, but I'm already thinking like, oh my gosh, I broke this. I got to go to the hospital. And then I'm like, oh, when I get to the hospital, I know how I'm going to be there. And then all of a sudden, my body has convinced itself to be in that panic state, even when I'm not in the state. And you get that in trading a lot too, where I see this a lot with we talk about greedy traders a lot, but the fearful trader is just as common as the greedy trader, meaning that the trader that is afraid to get into a position. And you see this a lot where, most of us would think that the mindset is like, hey, yeah, I got a trading opportunity. Like you hear Jason and I talk, or any of the professional traders here on our platform, and like we get excited over a trading opportunity. It's like, oh yeah, George, euro dollars coming to structure. I can't wait till it gets there because we're excited. We're like, I get to take a trade, right? We do a lot of analysis. Like 90% of our analysis doesn't, pan out to anything, meaning that we're marking up charts and then the market either doesn't get there, goes the opposite direction, gets there but doesn't give us a signal, gets there, gives us a signal, but the risk reward is off. Like, there's tons of reasons it doesn't happen. So it's like we finally get everything where it's like, okay, add structure, okay, entry reason, okay, risk reward, okay, right? Everything works out and we're excited. We're like doing a little fist pump thing. Woo, we get to take a trade, right? Many of us are like that, the seasoned vets, because we've been through it and we understand that we have an edge. Our edge is like our lottery ticket in a sense. Like we just want to extract our edge, right? So every chance we get to extract our edge pushes us close. Every trade we get is another opportunity to extract our edge. Every opportunity to extract our edge is just a push along the path of eventual profitability, right? Because we're super confident in that if I just do what I'm supposed to do over and over and over again, I'll be profitable at the end of the year. However, if you're not at that state and you're at a state of trading where maybe you haven't tested something, you don't know if you have an edge, or maybe you're just newer, you don't have experience, you're still nervous, you're scared, recency bias has a major effect. So maybe you're coming off another trade where you made a mistake, you panicked, you messed up somehow. All of a sudden, you're fearful of that opportunity. So instead of seeing like, euro dollar at structure, risk reward, entry reason, ooh, right? Instead of seeing it like that and getting all giggly, right? You're like, well, the last time I took this, I moved my stop back or blah, 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 and like something crazy happened. Now you're feeling that again. And before the trade even gets to that point, you've sabotaged yourself. You've put yourself in this fearful, panic state where now you're worked up, you're sweating, your hands are jittery, you're thinking of every reason why you shouldn't take the trade, and we know that we can create any type of excuse for anything in our mind. And you put yourself in this really anxious position where when that trade comes, either you're so worked up that you don't take the trade, you find the excuse not to be in it, you create a reason not to be in it, or maybe you do the first step, you take it, but because you're in that negative mind state, you're more likely to make a mistake while you're in it. So you panic and move a stop, or you take it out early, or you make it. I gotta get off a break. Even the weekend's coming, right? You do something like that, and when you put yourself in that state before even entering a trade, you're done. I spoke to our track girls the other day about we had a situation where we were at championships and the girls had lost before they even stepped on the line. They knew who they were running against. They knew their times, and they said, "Oh my gosh, like she's so big and strong, and she's gonna beat me because she runs so fast." And I'm like, "You already lost." I'm like, "You got to develop the mindset where like you step on the track, like I'm beating everyone." I tell them when I ran, right? Usain Bolt could be next to me. Guess what? He was getting beat today. Sorry, he was getting beat today. Now I knew it wasn't true, right? But you gotta go in with that mindset, convince yourself. So it's the same thing with trading. You got to go in with the mindset like, hey, this is an opportunity. This isn't a chance for something negative to happen. Right? We understand our risk and all that fun stuff. That's already marked in. But this is an opportunity for me to extract my edge. And that's how I look at the market. This is an opportunity to extract my edge. So yeah, and that has a positive play as well. Because now instead of getting worked up and being all anxious over future trades, now you're excited for newer trades. And it takes a while to kind of shift that balance, right? That if you imagine it being a seesaw, right, or a balance, I guess that'd be a better example, from one side to the other, it takes a while to do that, but that comes with experience, that comes with building your psychology. And that goes back to what we said earlier, like trading courses don't work, right? You just can't take a course and like be ready to go. Like you gotta deal with that. But that's the silverback gorilla that Jason and I will tell you about, and all the other traders on our platform will tell you about, where it's gonna be like, hey, at some point, you might be a little scared to take that order. And you may type in the chat, hey guys, I got this trading opportunity on the euro dollar. Should I take it? And then right away, George is going to write in, does it meet your rules? You'd be like, yeah, it does, but so take the trade. And that's like the little push you need where it's like a slap in the face. Hey, dummy, like do what you're supposed to do. You don't trust it yet, but you will. And that's the cool thing about having this community where we have people along that path. Obviously, we have the coaches as well, but we have other traders along that path to kind of slap you around every time like you want to turn back. Like, I don't know if I should. Psh, keep going. we ain't letting that happen. Keep going forward. Every time you try to turn back, you know what? Maybe we'll do this. Psh, keep going. Well, I forgot my. Psh, keep going. Right? And just constantly getting punched and positively reinforced in the face to move in the right direction. And that's powerful because it helps you develop those habits. Because now whenever you want to make a mistake, you feel the pain of getting punched in the face. And you're like, okay, maybe I should just go forward. And when you go forward, you do the things that you're supposed to do. When you do the things that you're supposed to do, assuming you've kind of done everything the right way up to that point, you start seeing the right results, and then that belief action results cycle starts churning. Just want to make sure there's nothing over that top. But yeah, that's a very good thing. It does become like a disorder. But just remember, we think of disorders as being bad, right? Habits and reaction and stuff being bad. Remember, they can be good as well. And I think that's the glass half full that we have to think about, right? There are good habits and bad habits, right? Here's a perfect example, right? When I use the word addiction, what do you think, good or bad? Just initially. We always think bad, right? We always think bad. Addictions are bad. Addictions are bad. Addictions are bad. Is it possible to have a good addiction? Can you be addicted to something good? Can that be good? Obviously, there's a scale of balance, right? Because there, like for example, water is good. If you drink too much water, you'll die. By the way, my latest deep dives has been into green roofs. If anyone's into green roofs, let's have a conversation. Amazing opportunity there. But yeah, they're like, yeah, Paul says, okay, well, addicted to, see, you guys can't even think of a good example. Well, what about you're addicted to healthy eating? What if you're addicted to spending time with your kids? What if you're addicted to exercising? What if you are addicted to meeting new people and saying something nice to someone? What if you're addicted to giving compliments? Even here, what if you're addicted to trading? I'm addicted to trading. And that could be a positive or a negative, right? Because you could be addicted to trading and that means over trading. Like I got to be in the market all the time. That's how we usually think of it. But it can also be addicted to the game of the market. I'm addicted to the game of the market. It's a puzzle. I'm addicted to coming in and trying to solve this puzzle. And I don't see that as a negative. People will be like, look, my kids are addicted to soccer. Is that good or bad? Being addicted to video games. We think of, okay, well, you're addicted to video games. That's a bad thing. Well, what if someone's a professional gamer? What about Sudoku, crossword puzzles, right? Someone's going to come in and be like, whoa, the exact definition of addiction is like, who cares about that? But you guys get the point. We automatically think being addicted is a negative, but it could also be a positive. Same thing like being obsessed. And the thing is, we have control. We have control over what side. If you imagine a straight line in the middle, we have control over what side we want to be on. We have to make that decision. We have to make that decision for ourselves. Right? With every thing we face in life, right? Life is like a choose your own adventure book. If you guys remember those, where you get to a certain page and it's like, if you want to fight the lion, turn to page 89. If you want to run away scared like a little boop, turn to page 8. And it's like, oh, I ain't no boop. I'm going to page 59. I'm going to fight that lion. You have died. Oh, shoot. my pride my pride led me down a negative path once again, right? But when we get to these crossroads at life, and I look back at this a lot and think about the decisions I've made, and sometimes I go down a dark path for the decisions that I could have made, and how glad I am I didn't make them. But we have these choices, and that we can control our actions. We can't control a lot of things in life, but we can control, the one thing we can control is, I believe that we can control all of our own actions. You can't tell me otherwise. Now, the choices you make, it may be a choice between a bad choice and a worse choice, but we have 100% control over how we act and how we react. We don't have a lot of control over life, but that's what we do. So when you get to these situations where you're making excuses or you think you're going to panic or whatnot, we got to think about, how can we control this? How can I put myself on the positive side, or the more positive side of this choice versus the negative side? And that's how we need to think about everything in life, whether it's trading, whether it's business, whether it's spending time with family, friends, work, whatever it may be. And it's tough. It takes a change in mindset. And this is something I've worked on with myself from probably the last 15 years, right? Not to get too deep, but we can change the neural pathways in our brain to, I don't want to call it brainwashing, because it's not, brainwashing sounds like a trick, but we can change our belief system. We can change our attitude on things. We can change our expectations. We can change our habits. It just takes time, effort, and a lot of consistent intentional work. And you can't just think that, hey, I'm going to do something one time and, oh man, I just formed a new habit. Like, no, like, you got to do it over and over and over and over again until it becomes a habit. Randomly, any of you guys watch the show Omniscient? Netflix? I think it's called Omniscient. Brazil, drones watching you all the time. Anyone? Nope. Okay. Anyway, I was going to give an example from that. I'm not going to spoil it, but we got to a point where the young lady is trying to do, there are these, I think it's Brazil in the future, and there are drones these little drones that look like flies. They watch you all the time, right? And this is how only in the city, but they prevent crime because everything is watched. So like, if you commit a crime or destroy something, it boops you right away, and you got to go to court or pay money or go to jail, right? So people are just like, I'm not doing anything bad because I'm under 24-hour surveillance. It's weird, but they've got accustomed to it. Anyway, she's trying to do something sneaky that obviously would get caught by the drone. So her great idea to trick the drone is to develop a pattern habit where she came in and did the same thing every day in the same exact order for I don't know how long. And the drone is recognizing it. And at first it's like, weird, 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 weird. But then it's like, oh, this is just what she does every day. So it becomes normal. So then she does that same thing in a different place for a different reason. Trying to avoid the spoiler alerts here. And the drone's with her. The drone doesn't alert it as a crime because it just sees it as her pattern. So the drone has adapted to this behavior pattern of hers. And now it's like, okay, well, this is normal. This is no longer like weird and I should be on alert. She's just doing what she always did. And she kind of gets away with what she did. But does she? This is where we ended last night. But does she? Right? But it's one of those things where it takes consistent intentional, right? And intentional is a key word. It takes consistent contentional change in our behavior to develop these patterns. But you can do it. You can switch from being scared of a trading opportunity, nervous about a trading opportunity. Oh, I hope I don't lose. I hope I don't lose. I hope I don't lose. Looking at it as this is an opportunity where I could lose money or switching that to, hey, this is an opportunity where I can extract my edge, which will ultimately make me money. And I'll end it on there because if you think about it, right? What's the difference, right? How do you go into a trade? When you enter a trade, do you think this is how much money I can lose? Or this is how much money I can possibly win? Do you go into a trade, oh, I think I'm going to lose this trade, or I think I'm going to win this trade? Or somewhere in the middle, where I understand my risk, and I don't know if I'm going to win or lose. But I know if I do this the same way, eventually I will win. So you gotta make these shifts. It takes time, but it takes intent as well. You can get off the couch now. It's all because of your mom. Mom issues. Your mom. Hope you enjoyed. If you have any advice on things that you've done or things that you currently do to kind of get the mind on straight, or maybe kind of refocus yourself as some of these doubts and fears or whatever it may be pop up in your trading, feel free to share them. This is a community podcast. It's for the people, by people, meaning that I do read each and everything that you guys leave. Other traders do as well. I make it public. That way we can continue to reach and teach each other. And it's always good to hear from multiple opinions, not just yours truly. So if you're on Spotify, leave it in the little Q&A thing below. If you're on YouTube, there's that comment section. Or you can shoot me a DM at Akil Stokes RTM on Instagram and share your thoughts with me that way.